So with AZEIP, it's a coaching model. What that means is when the therapist comes into your home, they're not only working with your child, but they're also working with you as a parent to teach you the strategies on how you can implement that to your child's daily life.
Welcome to Tune In Bond to Bloom. Today is episode 5, and I have my dear teammate Melissa Soto on with us to be interviewed. And hopefully, she is the first of all my teammates to come on here. But I met Melissa about a year ago when I started working for AzEIP, which is Arizona Early Intervention Program. And she is amazing, amazing with the families and has 3 kids of her own and is married. So, Melissa, I want you to introduce yourself to the audience, please.
Thank you, Nicole. So yes, I am a mommy to three babies. My oldest is going to be 7 in October. And then my middle one is 4, with my youngest being 3 months, he's gonna be 4 months next week.
Oh
So
my
I'm like
gosh.
bad about that because he's growing up so fast. So yeah, I have 3 babies. I've been married. It's gonna be 9 years in October, and him and I have been together since I was 19. So
Oh,
I mean, think about it now. I'm 34. So
14 years. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that about
yeah,
you. And when I met Melissa, she was, were you pregnant last August when I first started, or were you just about? No, you were
I was.
because
I
we'd be doing like the IFSPs, and all of a sudden she would be like, I gotta go. And she'd like walk away because she was so nauseous. I totally remember that.
or
I
I'd
think
be
maybe there
like
was like a couple of weeks
eating.
you were.
I'd eat something really fast. I'd be like eating and like doing our the typing and talking. Or I'm like, you guys have to help me out with this. But yeah, I just found out I was pregnant. I think it was like end of August, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that's when I started.
And it was a rough first trimester.
Yeah, it was I felt so bad for you. You'd be like in the middle of it. It's like you're gonna have to take over at this point. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. All right, so why don't you tell everybody what your role is in AZIP, what it means, because a lot of people won't know what that means.
Yeah. So I am the service coordinator. When I first started, the way they explained this role to me, and it's like perfectly explained. It's like I'm basically the filing cabinet where I hold all the documents, all the paperwork with for families. I feel like sometimes I'm like the middleman too, where if therapists need like someone to step in to, you know, smooth things out with families or like talk to them about something that they're uncomfortable. That's where I come in and I try to see what they need help with as far as the therapist. So I feel like we wear a lot of hats as far as like being the good guys and the bad guys and helping the parents with like anxiety or resources and making sure that the therapy and their plan is aligned to what they want and that the therapists are on top of their sessions with the families and as well as making sure all the documents are in order for AZIP,
Would you
so
say it's like
AKA the service coordinator.
would you say
Well,
it's
not
like
AKA actually. No, sorry, go
would
ahead.
would you say it's like a case manager like in the hospital, like somebody that's just organizing the whole case, like you're tying it up in a little
Mo-
bow?
Most definitely. Yeah, that's the easiest and
So
most clearest way to explain it.
if a family has a child that has they have concerns with, what are some ways that a family can either a family or anybody else in that child's life can refer them to AZIP?
Yeah, and that's such a good question, Nicole, because I speak to so many families and I'm like, how did you hear about AZIP? Or even through social media, like there's so many families that don't even know about AZIP.
Oh,
And like we put it out there and they're like, I didn't know this was like a service. And I'm like, yeah. And I think a lot of them where they're taken back, it's like covered by the state. It's a service that's state covered by the state. And so they're like, so it's like free. And so when I'm talking to them about like how we go about, yes, it's free if you have no insurance, or I go into like if you have insurance and how we go about that and how we use it, they're like flabbergasted because they've never heard of us.
yeah.
So a few ways, it's like again, I see a lot of people on social media like my kid's not talking, my kid's not eating right, and I follow like a lot of little mom groups or like, social media groups to just stay in the loop. And I'll be like, oh, here's AZIP. So I myself will always just give them the website so they can apply. Pediatricians, we get a lot of our recommendations from pediatricians, sometimes the hospitals too. Word of mouth, like if one family tells another family, that's how other families find out too.
Yeah. And they can self-refer. Like if you're a mom and you're like, oh my gosh, my
Yes.
child is 16 months old and they're not walking, they can fill out the form and fill it out themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I've had a few moms that I've just online where they're asking about their child and who they can go to for help. And I always tell them like you can self-refer. You don't need a referral from a pediatrician or any type of specialist for us to come out and evaluate your child. And again, they're just like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know that was an option for me.
Yeah. All right, so cool. And then what's it like that first time? Because I'm never with you. The first time that you go into a family's house and you're the first face that they meet. You reach out to them and you set up that appointment, but you're also the first face that they see.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions where they're right away they're like, does my child have autism or
Okay.
does my child is my child delayed? And a lot of families come in sometimes feeling like, oh my God, like is something wrong with my child in that sense because they want to know right away. And so it's either that or they're like, okay, how long is this process going to take? Because I've been through the loop and, for therapy and I'm on a 6 month waiting list. And so when I tell them like this is a 45-day process that goes by really fast for us from start to get them through the first session, they're like, oh my God, this goes by so fast. So it's like a mix of both emotions. Either they're like, tell me if my child is
Yeah.
autistic or developmentally delayed, and I kind of have to be like, okay, let's just wait to see where we're at.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of parents, it's like self-education. I'm like, I feel weird sometimes because I go in and I'm like, try to do these activities with your kiddo to work on fine motor skills, or if it's something simple. And I put myself in their shoes because I'm like, I'm a mom too. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. There's times where like my husband will be like, Melissa, stop and think about this. Like, what would professional Melissa do for her own kids? And I'm like, okay, like let's not do this reverse psychology on me right now. Like, do not do that to me.
He knows too much to be dangerous.
Yes.
So would it
Um,
be fair to say there's quite a bit of anxiety that you'll walk
there
into?
is
Yeah, so you have
very
to be pretty
lots of
regulated.
anxiety.
You
Yeah,
have to be pretty regulated to go in there.
most definitely. And there's times where I walk in myself and I'm dysregulated because the child is dysregulated
Yeah.
and it happens to me. And I'm just like, okay, like once I leave the house, I'm like, I need to regulate myself because it's the poor child is like, I need help. And the mom's like, I need help. And then I'm like, okay, how do I help both of you at the same time right now?
Yeah, and that brings me to I didn't even bring this up, but Melissa and I are both in a program for infant mental health to be endorsed in that, which is that was one of the first things I recognized when I started with AZIP is like we need to be trauma informed. Like it is just, oh my gosh, if we do not have that background or even desire to understand the family as a unit, forget it.
Yeah.
Like it's not about just the child. It's like how are the parents' wounds and behaviors and trauma affecting the child, and like you're really treating the whole family.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. It's exactly what I was thinking. It's like if there's something going on with the mom or the dad, it's going to definitely affect their child. And a lot of people don't realize that. I have a friend who's going through postpartum right now, and it's like the baby can feel your emotions.
Yeah.
And so I love that course. I feel like so
Oh.
many parents should be taking, an infant mental health class
Or it will
just
make them
to,
not want to have children because they realize everything they do and think and say is going to affect the kids.
I know.
Oh. All right, cool. Next question is, what are some obstacles or challenges that you have come across in your role?
Some obstacles or challenges. Oh, that's a hard question because I was thinking about this and I was like, what obstacles? I think just coming across a variety of families that are again overwhelmed and they want the help for their child like right then and there and they want the child to be fixed. And it's like we're not there to fix your child. We're there to help them better themselves. And I don't even like to say the word fix because it's not like there's anything to fix like
Right,
that's wrong with them.
right.
Um, but it's like fix my child for me. And I'm like, well, let's try to use a different word for that because we're all unique in our own ways, I would say. Or you get the parents who are like in complete denial that their kids are developmentally delayed.
Hmm. Yeah.
And as much as we try to talk to them and help them through that process, it's not something that they want to realize.
Yeah.
And I always tell like my family, it's like there's nothing wrong if your child is delayed or if they have a diagnosis of autism or anything else. Like I think they're just unique in their own way. And I say this all the time and I continue to say it. Even if your child does have autism, like to me, it's beautiful because I always say they are made to think differently and they're just so smart to me. Like if you sit down with the child, and I used to work with kiddos with autism and I loved it. But I'm like, they're just so smart for you that you're just like, how are you so smart?
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm a 30 something year old woman and you're like a child, but you're smarter than me. So I always say like they have these quirks to them that we don't have. What's the word? Neurodivergent
Yep.
and
Yep.
yeah.
And gifts. They're gifts. I just came out of a house and it's a family that you actually know. And he is ridiculously brilliant. Like I'll pick up a little figurine and it'll be like a fish and I'll be like, "What is this?" And he'll go, Fish, F." Like he's two and he
Yes,
already knows
exactly. And
that.
I was going to say, how old is this
Yeah,
child?
he's
Like
two.
2 year olds are
Right.
can
And we
count
talked
backwards
about
from
that.
100 or something.
Yeah, and he's got like Miss Rachel, like he's got the whole, like she takes out the colors and he's got them all memorized. Like he can do the entire thing. And so we talked about
Yeah,
that today. And I was sharing that somebody I know that's 18 that has autism that became an actor because he remembered so many things when he was little. He memorized movies and little scenes. And there are so many
interesting.
gifts in it. And if we can learn how to instead of like looking at autism like it's a negative thing, it's not. It's
Exactly.
just a different way that the brain works, and their gifts are unreal. Like in it's changed the way I look at it. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but not
definitely.
everybody's ready to see it that way at first, right? So
No, especially with parents. And I can get it. Like I'm a mom, like being with my little one, I'm like, okay, let's make sure, like, I have you, my PT, and then there's the OT on the team, and then there's the speech therapist. So me as a mom, like having my newborn, I'm like, all right, let's make sure there's no torticollis in you, and let's make sure that your sensory needs are being met. And I'm like, oh, he's overwhelmed, and I'm like, okay, let's make sure your
yeah,
speech is on its way as a baby. And so I get it. I'm a mom. Like we want to make sure that our kids are meeting all these milestones and they're on track. But at the end of the day, like I have to realize too, like he's just a baby and
yeah.
whatever his outcome is going to be, like I'm not going to love him any different.
Right. And that's something I come across with families. So like if I'm seeing families weekly, after a while, I'm like, you know what? Let's take a week off. Like let's just be a normal family where you can go do something else on a Thursday morning instead of seeing the physical therapist. And this is a
I
good
love
time.
that. Actually,
Yeah,
that's like a really good thing that families need to learn too.
I'm going to do more of that. I've decided as I get new families on, instead of doing weekly for longer, I'm actually going to start weekly and then doing it a little bit less so that they just, because again, and this is a great segue into explaining the coaching model. And I know you probably can do it even better than I do because you have to be the first one to explain it to the family. Like it was eye-opening to me. The AZIP is not a medical model. So you want to go into that for a little bit?
Yeah. So with AZEIP, it's a coaching model. What that means is when the therapist comes into your home, they're not only working with your child, but they're also working with you as a parent to teach you the strategies on how you can implement that to your child's daily life. Because at the end of the day, you're with them 99% of the time when this therapist comes in that 1% to help you and the child. And yes, they want, if let's say he's not walking and, Nicole comes in and is trying to help you with that, your child learns best with you because you're the mom. And, they're most comfortable with you. And so we want the therapist to teach you as well as while they're teaching the child, so that when she leaves, you can continue implementing these strategies. And sometimes some parents have difficulty with this because they're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Why do I have to do this? And it's like, well, we're there to teach you.
Yeah.
But it's also a research-based model. So it's not just something that's just like pulled out of a hat to be like, nope, we're going to do it this way. It's research. And I
Yeah,
like that about that.
yeah, me too. They find that kids, because we do 0 to 3, birth to 3, and they find that kids learn best and do best in their home environment with that. That's what the research shows. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, and we try to do ways that we incorporate it into their daily routine. So, like for me, if I have a kid that's not rolling, how are you diaper changing? How are they lying in the crib, flipping them from, facing this side and then nap time facing the other side. So
exactly.
they're not hands-on strategies that you're doing 8 hours a day. They're like little ways that you can incorporate it into your daily routines and function, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I like too, because it's like even if we're doing our own stretches for ourselves, it's say like sometimes it's like a chore and you're like, oh God, like I have to do this, but just doing that little change from switching them from one side to the other with breastfeeding. Okay, I'm doing this side. All right, let's do
Right.
this side today.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Last question. If
Yeah.
you, one piece of advice you would give someone that's struggling with accepting the challenges of parenthood, especially those with children that have developmental delays.
I would say try to find your pack. Like try to find another mom or other group that would, encourage you just to try to think outside of the box.
Mm,
Especially because it's hard. Like if you don't have that support within your family, sometimes you don't. And yeah, just try to find your support with other moms and other groups that you feel like it can relate to you.
yeah.
Or just that support system where you have someone to turn to that can help you, especially because, if your child does have that, let's say developmental delay, it can get overwhelming sometimes. And as parents, we oftentimes need breaks. I keep saying moms, but I do forget, there's dads out there too that are full-time hands-on. So as a parent, you need your pack to be able to say, like, I need a break right now. Can you just give me 30 minutes on my own? Or just that support system to say, like, are you experiencing this? Is your child going through this? What was your child doing at this, you know, age or month? Um, so that way you guys can like connect
Yeah. I love
and
that. I love that.
it, yeah, and be able to relate to one another because it's hard being a parent.
Yeah, and I just had the same conversation a couple of months ago with a mom that was really struggling. She had taken her son to a swim class, and it was like the first thing they had done in a group setting, and he was about 8 months old, and it was the first time that she recognized the delay, the true delay that he had. And
Yeah,
she has other friends that have children that are around the same age but do not have the delay. And to understand and to somebody to relate to you, it like they can't understand it unless you've been in that situation before. And
yeah,
so I ended up connecting her with another family because she felt like nobody was understanding. Her friends were not understanding, and they were talking about, oh, their child is like this delayed in this tiny little thing, where she just felt like, oh my gosh, like he's not even holding on to the edge of the pool and he's not doing the things. And she felt so lonely and so isolated. And having somebody that really understands what you're going through is huge because you need that. You
yeah,
absolutely need that. I wish we could like develop some kind of program that we could connect families a little bit more. I mean, we could send them to Facebook groups and stuff that have the same diagnosis, but
yeah.
since we work in zip codes that are, work in zip codes, I think it would be a great idea for to do that someday.
Yeah, and I think the problem is as parents, sometimes we compare, like, oh, this child is
Yes.
doing something that my child isn't doing. And like, why isn't my child doing it yet? And it's like sucks because sometimes we don't try to do that, but like, we're always like, okay, like let's get you where you need to be. And we always have to remember every kid is learning at their own pace.
Yes. And
And
that's
one
our
might
stuff.
start, yes,
That's
yes,
our anxiety and it's our stuff. And that poor child is actually inherent. Like that's where the infant mental health comes. Like that's not the child. That's our anxiety of,
yeah,
yeah. And it takes
yeah.
a lot of awareness to recognize that.
Definitely. So, yeah, I just think it's hard, especially when you have like a friend that their child is way more advanced than yours. Because it's happened to me before. Like it's happening to me right now as we speak with my 7-year-old and her struggling in school. Even as a 7-year-old, she's not even that 0 to 3, and she's struggling in first grade. And then seeing her friend like doing much more than her, it's like, okay, what do we need to do? But as a mom, like I do that to myself too. Again, it's like we're human. Yes, this is our field that we're in, Nicole. Like, you and I are in the early intervention, but we're still those moms too that worry like, okay, we're our kid needs to be at this level, and we have to take a step back to be like, wait, like let's put our perspective into it, like reverse a little bit and practice what you preach, right?
Yeah, and love them for who they are, you know. It's
Exactly.
yeah, no, I love that. And thank you so much for your time. And I
Yeah,
just feel so blessed that we're on the same team and we have such an amazing team. And the goal is to get
I love
everybody
my
else
team.
on here. Now that you can
Yes.
tell them it's not so scary.
I know.
It's really
It's a little,
fun.
it's really fun. It's a little nerve-wracking just because you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm good at this or if I'm saying the right thing. But
Yep,
I think
it's
I think what one thing I did forget to add is like sometimes people forget that as like a service coordinator. And I was thinking about this on the car ride before I started. I was like, it's crazy to me that you have to have a minimum of a bachelor's degree to do a service coordinator role because you're like, oh, it's so easy. I can do this. Like all it is doing paperwork, but you're doing a lot of like mental health with families and ensuring that like you acknowledge their child and if there's a delay, because sometimes you don't pick up that delay on the assessments that we do on the non-formal assessments because we can make kids eligible ICO. And we did forget to talk about that, like informed
yeah,
clinical opinion.
right,
If we don't pick something up on the assessments that you guys do or the non-formal assessments that I do. And so it's really important to have that like background knowledge to be like, well, they scored great on the assessment, but I still feel like they need to be evaluated just to get a second set of eyes.
right.
And there's times where you guys are like, yeah, we need, like, we're going to make them eligible based off of informed clinical opinion or, whatever you guys see. And so it's really important that, like, as service coordinators, we can pick up on those types of things.
Yeah, and the emotional piece, I mean, to me, the emotional piece, luckily that is like my favorite thing to deal with, but if you don't have that, I don't want to say knowledge, but like desire to connect with people, it's going to be really hard because
Yeah.
you have to be able to meet them where they're at. And we're not doing psych therapy with them,
Yeah,
but you
no.
have to be able to acknowledge and validate and sit in their discomfort because we just had one the other day. Natalie and I had one that the child did not qualify. And she had like tears in her eyes, and she goes, "Is it sad? Is it bad that I wanted my child to qualify?" And I was like, "No, not at all. Like
Yeah.
she wanted the services, but he wasn't delayed enough. You need a 50% delay in one of the five areas. So
Yeah.
I mean, you need to have a pretty significant delay. So we told her,
Yeah.
do these couple things, come back in 3 months and see if he qualifies then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like they want somebody to come alongside of them and shepherd them through that process because it can be very lonely.
It can be. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for having me.
Yeah, you were awesome. I love you, girl, and I'll
You
probably see you
too.
tomorrow.
Yes. See you tomorrow.
Have a good day.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.